Hello everybody, this is Mr. Crook. I'm just wanting to go over our Unit 2 project. In previous quarters, this is probably one of the most confusing projects that you'll do in this class. And so I just want to go over it very quickly because there is a lot of very important information that you get from the lab, from the project, that I want to go over with you together. Okay, so you're aware, I will have this in here right before the first part of this project. There's two parts. There's one in lesson 7, and then there's another part in lesson 9, I believe. Yep, lesson 9. And so make sure that you do both parts to get full points. And I'm going to briefly go over both parts here in this video, but I'm going to put this video before parts or in lesson 7, so the first part right here. Okay, so what I want to do first is show you the instructions for this lab. This lab goes into ecological succession, and it's very important that we understand both parts because this happens all the time. And because we're in an environmental science course, it's important that we understand what causes these ecological successions. We can see the benefits and the cons, the negatives with it, with what comes with them as well, and what causes these things. So when you're going through this module in lesson 7, you're going to learn that there's two types of succession: primary succession and secondary succession. Primary succession doesn't happen very often, but it's basically, well, it does happen, but it happens in not as many places, I guess you could say, but it happens on places where an environment has not yet existed. So a rock face, surface, where nothing is growing there and something does start to grow on a rock, that would be primary succession. Nothing was on it before. It wasn't an environment. It wasn't an ecosystem before. And so it's starting to build up. And there's certain types of organisms that do start to grow on those locations, such as lichens and other things like that, bacteria, that start that ecosystem going. Also, like desert, sandy locations like that, you would find it be very barren, but certain places you can find where an ecosystem has started to thrive. And so that would be primary succession. Secondary succession is a little different. Secondary succession occurs in locations where an ecosystem existed before, but for some reason got wiped out. And this can happen in multiple different scenarios. Natural disasters, so forest fires, hurricanes, stuff like that, that can wipe out an entire ecosystem. And then after that hurricane or fire or whatever natural disaster, volcanic eruption would be another big important one. New things can start to grow there. That would be secondary succession. Okay, so it's an ecosystem starting to build up on a location where an ecosystem was before. And another option, a scenario that could cause secondary succession is humans. And you're going to learn more about these types of things later on in this course, because with environmental science, we need to understand what we as humans can do to help our Earth, our ecosystems be healthy still, yet allow us to do the things that we need to do, right? And this is in politics all the time with climate change and burning fossil fuels and cutting down the Amazon rainforest and all these different types of scenarios that we're doing that are causing harm to specific environments. Building roads would cause a disruption in an ecosystem, right? Or building a house could wipe out an entire ecosystem. So, so secondary succession can occur both by natural causes, but by humans as well. And so we need to be aware of those. For this lab, what you're going to be doing is you're going to, now this is all hypothetical, right? But this, you're going to see how a number of species through secondary succession occurs in the Cosonino forest. This is in Arizona. This forest is, and and it's a national forest. Now, if you've ever been to Arizona, it's very dry in locations, deserty, and that's how it is kind of here too. It's it's not very luscious and green like it would be in like northern Idaho and stuff like that. And so if you wanted to see pictures of that, like Google Earth would be a good one. But anyways, what you need to do is you need to pick 6 species that live in this national forest. But to be clear, it needs to be the ones that are around 7,000 feet, okay, to about 9,000 feet maybe. So 6,500 to 9,000. If you can pick some type of organisms that are in that range. Oh, so yeah, so right here. So I guess not 9,000, 8,000 feet is what that is where that wants you to go. And when you're doing this, you're going to have to give each species a specific symbol, and these symbols are found like down in here. So, and I will show you this as well, my document that I've made. I will also put one of these sample data, or one of these templates on the help session that you can use as well, just because it helps clarify, and I've actually got it made so it'll do all the math for you, which is kind of nice. So here are my 6 species that I've picked. There are a lot of trees that live in these upper regions. There is small grass though, and I've for each plant species I've assigned a symbol right here. Okay, now this is no rhyme or reason of what symbol goes to which, and so that there is some inaccuracies in this lab, because obviously you're going to expect grass to grow more prevalently than the spruce, right? But for some reason, but anyways, when you fill this out, it doesn't really matter. What's more important is that we can see the change over time. Okay, and so what you're going to do here is each of these figures, figure 1 correlates to 5 years after. Oh, and I guess I forgot to mention what occurred here in this lab is you're looking at data after a forest fire. So a forest fire has occurred, and after 5 years, you go out there and you take data to see the species that are growing in those locations. So right here showing a plot of land. This is probably one, I mean, it just depends. This could be 1 hectare, could be a quarter of a hectare, this being a hectare. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, it just doesn't matter. But this is an area, and this is showing you where all the species are distributed. Okay, and so what you would do is when you're going through here, as you follow the instructions, it tells you to assign a plant a symbol, and then to go through figures 1 through 4 and count how many there are of each figure. Okay, so when you're looking at this, and I just downloaded this onto my computer, it shows you the math and everything, but you can go through here. Figure 1 is showing 5 years after the fire. Figure 2 is showing 10 years after the fire. Figure 3 is showing 50 years. And figure 4 is showing 100 years after the fire. And so when you're looking at this, you can count how many of each species there are, okay? And you can fill that out. Now, if you want to do it on a piece of paper, you can. I did it on Excel or on a Google Sheets to let it do my math for me. So 5 years, I've got here that there were 6 of those, and I've counted all these out, right? Now, when you count them out, then you have to calculate the percentage. And I just put in this equation in here into Excel to let me for it to do it for me. But basically, I have the total number of plant species down here. I take this number, divide it by the total, take that number, multiply it by 100 to get the percentage. Okay, and if you want to try and do this by yourself, these little $ symbols right there, they freeze the cell, right? Because if not, it would just keep taking these numbers down here, which there are no numbers. I want this one to go down as you go through, because then all I do is I just go down here and I just drag it down so it autofills for me. Okay, so just a couple tricks with Excel or Google Sheets if you're interested. But those $ symbols freeze that cell. Okay, I did the same thing for this one right here. It's freezing this cell. Oh, but guess what I'm doing here? See this? Means I'm going to mess up on this one too. It should be C31. See how it stays C31 down here even, but this one changes to be this one. And this last one is 42. All right. So anyways, there's that data. So now you guys, when you have this all this data filled out and everything, what you can do is look at the data and see, well, how did this species change over time? Let's look at the Engelmann spruce fern. And I want to insert a chart. Voila, here's my data. Okay, and it could be prettier. I should have axes here, but you can see, did this species change very much over time? Not really. The percentages relatively stayed the same, which is kind of interesting. So the percentage was 30, 20, 26, 24. There is no rhyme or reason there. Well, we could look at other ones too. And you're going to notice they're all kind of the same. But anyways, let's look at one. Did I mess up? Anyways, I don't know why it's showing that. It's interesting. Anyways, you can see, I would just look at what's in red. I don't know what this blue stuff is, and I don't know why it's showing up. Anyways, this right here is showing it increased, decreased significantly, and then started to increase again. So you can see some trends there of what maybe might be causing that. And when you get all this data, what you're going to need to do is answer some questions. So these first couple questions, all you're going to be doing is putting in that data that you calculate. Okay, number, percent calculated, so you'll put that percentage there. Same thing for this one, so you're going to do this for every single figure. Now the key part, what I'm really going to be looking at is question number 6, you guys. So write a paragraph about 3 things that could change the growth of this mesa and how each event specifically changes the growth. Think about what could happen in nature and what man can do. Okay, so you guys, going back to what I talked about before, what could change this ecosystem? You could even predict of what's causing it to change between each figure, right? But just tell me, what are some things, and I need 3, it needs to be in paragraph format, okay? Tell me 3 things that could change the environment. All right, when you get to lesson number 9, this one is another lab. Kids seem to do fairly well with this. The instructions are fairly clear. Basically, what you're going to be doing with this one is looking at water and oxygenated water. So if you go right here, it'll tell you. Let's open this one up. Okay, so this one right here, you're going to have 3 containers that hold water. You're going to have a heating source. So this is all things you can do in your kitchen or in the microwave, even if you want just to heat it up. Basically, what you need to do is you need to heat it up to about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is just below boiling. Once it starts boiling or close to boiling, just take it off, okay? Now, what you're needing to do here is you need to allow it to cool down so it's just warm, and you're going to divide that water into 3 containers, okay? What this does when you heat it up is it actually takes out the oxygen from the water. So it's very gross, nasty tasting water. It doesn't really taste that well. And you're actually going to be tasting it. And so you're going to put these 3 containers in 3 different locations. One, you're going to put in the refrigerator without stirring. The third, you're going to put into the refrigerator, stirring the contents vigorously before you do. And then the third container, where's that? Oh, here. Okay, I missed something. Put the one container into the fridge and put the third. Oh, okay, there it is. Whoa. Okay, keep one container warm and still. The second one you're going to put in the refrigerator without stirring. Third one you're going to stir vigorously and put it into the refrigerator. But this one you'll just keep warm and still outside. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to taste it when they've all cooled down. And you're just going to report your results. It's fairly simple there. And just tell me what you taste. Okay, so describe what you taste in there. And then you're going to start applying it to real world scenarios. You guys, for these ones, please use some evidence to support. Okay. You can use evidence from previous modules to do this, but there needs to be some evidence in there. I'm going to dock you points. Okay. Fish, this one's another big one. Why is it so important that fish get some good water? Think about that. Okay. All right. I think I've gone over everything. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. There will be a quiz with this video because I do want you guys to watch it all so that you guys can get good a lot of points for this. These projects are worth 20% of your grade, and so by not doing them, it'll drop your grade to grade levels at least. And so make sure you get these done and do a good job with them. Okay.